self-serving bastard that I am, and that's definitely me, I want to talk about an event that I was at. Wait for here comes the big shocker with Danny Cooper. Who here in the audience remembers who Danny Cooper is? Hold up your hand.
I'm going to have to Google it.
I'm looking. Yes, Danny Cooper.
So he wasn't kidnapped by foreign agents, or
something like that.
He made it out of the house. In fact, Danny Cooper and I drove from his hometown to this event. This was here's the thing. This was a Toyota event, and it was called eVolution.
Wow, they must have been getting ready to introduce their brand new all-electric fleet of battery electric cars at this event, since it's called eVolution. Tell us about that, Russell.
So it featured all Toyota's all-fuel cars. It featured no battery electric cars.
But it's called eVolution.
But EV, isn't the EV in the name?
eVolution.
It is called eVolution.
Come on, they must have spent $130,000 on eVolution. Because that's so original.
And all they did is gave people room key cards to the someone's hotel room.
We got a button.
Hospitality suite.
We got a button.
And
anybody else got a button?
Yeah, but it doesn't start an electric car.
It doesn't start anything, actually. This was a celebration of Toyota's achievements over the past 20 years in alt-fuel cars. And it featured the centerpiece of the event was the unveiling, the very first unveiling of the brand new Mirai. Now, I know all of you on the panel are already just sweaty thinking about the 2G Mirai. Yeah. Evan, he's speechless.
It's a lot more than the original.
It's too early to start cursing in this show, isn't it?
We can start bashing them already. I mean, it's. The car is great technology. It's just not going to happen in our lifetime.
Not without Japanese subsidies.
I was going to say, and Russell, who admits to have produced the one and only positive review of the first gen.
Mr. Negativity?
That was me. That was
me.
I got invited to eVolution.
He's not so much
I did get
negativity as Mr. Contrarian.
Contrarian. There we go.
I hate contrarianism, but nonetheless, yes. And the only reason my first generation Mirai review was positive was at the very beginning. I automatically threw out the huge elephant in the hydrogen room, which is where's the hydrogen coming from?
And then they promptly shut down half of the stations.
We're going to talk more about that in a minute. But okay. This was number one, the new Mirai. It's way nice looking, way nicer looking.
I described it on Twitter as it no longer looks like a sweaty Prius.
There was a lot of Prius talk, and I remember a lot of people were saying, "Oh, the first generation Prius was so ugly and weird."
That one looked like a fat Echo.
Right. And it's the first generation Prius looked like a car.
Yeah.
It didn't look like anything. It was the second gen Prius that was really distinctive. Is that fair?
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, very fair.
Sometimes the little revisionist memory that we go through.
Well, no, I just think, compared to the other cars that were on the market at the time the Gen 1 came out, it was still pretty ugly. I mean, it was had these very weird rounded edges, and it just was, I don't know, it just looked so generic and boring. And you're right, the Gen 2 really kind of got everyone's attention, and some hated it and some of us loved it, and but at least it made sense, the reasons they went that direction.
Right.
So I'm hoping they went in the opposite way with the Mirai, right? The first one kind of polarizing. Is the second one much more commercially viable?
Well, I mean, the consensus in the room of the media that was there was very positive on this, on the looks of the new Mirai.
Are you going to share a picture with us, Russell?
Yeah, I'm pulling one up.
I'm not going to, because there's going to be a video coming up coming out this week, maybe early next week, where you'll get to see the video and the stills and all of that. So I'm not going to share a picture with you.
You don't want to show anybody what we're looking at?
Not a thing. Maybe Tony can if he wants to bring something up. No, I'm not. I don't like teasers. I want you to get the whole thing, and I have tons of video and tons of stills. Mm-hmm. We didn't get to drive it. It was just.
Styrofoam.
It was styrofoam. Yeah.
Yes.
It was actually fiberglass.
I heard there's some very styrofoam engineers looking for work.
Yeah, it looked very real. And the windows were opaque, but the lights did work. So at least Toyota put a battery in it.
I mean, but what was it? Lead acid.
Of course it was.
It was like in a car show where you look underneath and it's plugged into the outlet in the floor.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. And it actually may have been plugged in. I didn't notice. I just assumed it was a battery. But
like the original Volt when it drove on stage, it was like 3 lead acid batteries. Just rolled it up there.
So sad. That's
so sad. What else came out of eVolution?
Well, it's horrible to be rude to your hosts, but I'm gonna cross the line and go. It was a cool event, and Toyota has a lot to be proud of. And one of the things that came out in an interview that I did yesterday that we're going to talk about shortly, is that in many ways, Toyota's progress with hybrids has really held them back from progress in other areas like battery electric. Their emphasis on hydrogen has held them back from progress in other areas. So there was really not a lot of other news there. Yes, those other battery electric vehicles are going to be introduced in China, and they're going to be here sometime in the next 25 years. There's a new Highlander hybrid. Well, that's not a brand new vehicle.
Is the Highlander hybrid a refresh, or is it a whole new design?
It's a whole new design. I guess the biggest other announcement was the RAV4 plug-in.
Yeah, I've been waiting for that. Actually, I've been waiting for the RAV4 EV to come back, right. But in the meantime,
we're plug-in. Now, before you even get those questions sprung up, they gave no information whatsoever. The car is going to debut next month at the LA Auto Show, and the details then may or may not be revealed. But we learned nothing. The car wasn't there, and other than the announcement that the RAV4 plugin exists. If I had to guess, it's going to be a TNGA platform. It's going to be the same one as the Prime. Why it hasn't been introduced as the RAV4 Prime is beyond me, but
maybe it will be.
Maybe it will be. But I would guess it's going to have similar performance to the Prime.
I don't see why they would go any larger. They advertise 25, achievable 35, maybe 40 if you drive it well. I mean, right there, in order to get a larger vehicle to do 35 miles, you're already going to need larger batteries.
There was one hint.
Oh.
There was one hint. Hints. Would you like me to share that hint with you? It was sort of an offhand conversation I was having. Sure. This RAV4 plugin has been tuned for performance, not MPG.
Really?
Which, when you think about the average RAV customer, it's probably going to be a lot of fun to drive. It's going to be a lot of fun to drive. So maybe it'll get 25 rated plug-in miles.
I don't know, because those Tesla powered RAV4 EVs were a total bore to drive. Hated it. Every burnout, every donut, every skid mark. Hated it.
All that noise, it hurt my ears.
Yeah. The squilly tires.
My neck is still sore from it being thrown back with the accelerator. I don't know why anybody would want that.
Freaking blast. Yeah.
So we'll see.
So Russell, did you? I feel like the parent that raised their kid to come grow up right and do the right thing and be a good person, and they just went off the track and ended up doing petty crime or something. Like three of us on this panel worked so hard trying to talk to people that we thought had some influence and explain why this was a bad direction for Toyota to continue, or to ignore the battery electric vehicles. And do you get any sense from anyone there at all? Is there any remorse? Is there any desire to change the direction? I just, it's so frustrating to me. As a true fan of Toyota and what they've accomplished in the auto industry, to just see them feel like they're just like being left behind.
And if I can piggyback on that question and frame that same question in another way, is anyone in Toyota Motor Sales or marketing in North America frustrated with the position that's dictated to them by Japan? Do they feel they have any influence on the decisions that are being made in Japan?
So to answer Evan's question, I would say, without trying to make too big a deal out of it, absolutely none.
Wow.
I would say that Toyota is exactly where they've always been, and they feel that the future is a diverse powertrain future, and they feel that I mentioned an article last week by Bertel Schmidt in The Drive. I don't know if any of you read that article with the professor that's running the hydrogen fuel cell program for Toyota in Japan. It was a fascinating article. And I think there's hints in there as to why Toyota feels the way they do. There are logical hints. Now, you don't have to agree with them, but they're not like, well, we think hydrogen smells the best. You know what I mean? There wasn't like anything crazy. It's they have this line of thinking, and they're pursuing what they feel they want to pursue. They feel as though hydrogen has this upside, and that batteries, without a huge breakthrough in either the way they're produced or the way they store energy, are pretty much where they're kind of at. I mean, we're going to see incremental improvements, but this isn't, I'm totally lost. The guy who, Moore's Law.
Yeah.
This isn't something that's subject to Moore's Law.
It's a lot slower than that. I mean, the first Tesla did what, a little over 200 miles, and now we're doing almost 400.
In some cars,
it took 10 years.
Yeah,
and I don't want to preface your discussion, your interview with Matthew Klippenstein. He had mentioned what was it, a 20% increase in performance with a doubling of market penetration. But Moore's Law is a doubling of the technology every 18 months.
Right.
So this is a much slower progression. Yeah.